Hello, and welcome back to Final Fantasy V. Since last time, get that cursor off screen, leveled up Red Mage, partially off screen between videos, before realizing I usually don't do that until I get to the next area, the next town in line, so to speak, where enemies give a little bit more experience. Might not probably end up getting the same amount of ability points, but I'll be getting more experience points, so leveling up experience levels a little more as I go. So yeah. So of course last time went through the tower that's now sunken. Somewhere down here we had a submarine and diving capabilities. We could go back there and get that crystal that stunk with it, taking one of the job classes with it. But unfortunately, well, like I pointed out in many a video already, water is always so deadly in video games. Lava is fine, but water, no, you can't touch that stuff. Video game logic, so yeah. I guess we'll never get that one. Of course, I'm trying to avoid spoilers. I mean, yes, I am aware that, yes, optionally, much later in the game, you can go back and get that one. So don't bother trying to correct me in the comments. I do know about that. I was just trying to avoid potential spoilers, but yes, I do know, repeated purposes, yes, I do know that much later you will have the option to optionally go back down there and get that crystal that sunk with that tower. Much later in the game, towards the end of it, but anyways, for now, by the way, why is this rock formation kind of shaped like a heart? Not exactly, but kind of like those fake Valentine's Day hearts. Anyways, I disintegrated. Oh, okay. I warped somewhere. Fast travel. Not really though, because most of the time in video games you have to have been there, opened up the gate from that side before you can use it as a fast travel shortcut later. Usually. No, they're even showing us where we're going. That place will be important later. Alright. Is this... No, guess not. New lands to explore. With it, of course, new enemies. So we use these meteorites that fell as fast travel shortcut points. Okay. Kind of a weird way of fast travel, but I guess. I mean, I'd rather have the return/zoom spell of the Dragon Quest game, but unfortunately Final Fantasy games have never had that kind of spell. I mean, the argument or discussion for that is Final Fantasy games you usually get an airship, but that's not exactly the same thing because one, you don't usually get an airship until mid-game or close to it, and two, you can only generally only land your airship in flat, grassy plains. I mean, I know they're trying to be realistic with that, but Why? Why suddenly be realistic as to where you can land your airship? Why can't we land our airship on top of a frickin' tree or in the middle of the ocean? Well, actually, okay, water and video games, but why can't we land our airship on top of a tree? If we can walk through lava, screw reality in your game. You've already blown the reality in your game by allowing us to walk in molten lava. Yeah. Reality obviously has no place in your game, so let us land our airship on top of a tree. Whereas with the return/zoom spell in Dragon Quest 3 games, yeah, can return to most of the towns you've been to already. Well, starting with the original Dragon Quest 3, I mean, the first one, it only returns you to Tantagel or Tentigo, however you pronounce that name, castle, the starting point, and that's it. In the NES original in Part 2, as anybody that's played that version of the game by now knows, I'm sure, it only took you to whatever town you last saved your game at, nowhere else. It wasn't until Part 3, original NES version, and all of the remakes and remasters and games since then, where the return spell works as it always has since. Most of the towns you visited, but only after you've already been there at least once. Not until. As any Dragon Quest fan knows already, I'm sure, but again, point being, one of the things I like about Dragon Quest games that I kind of miss every time I play a Final Fantasy game, the series that's never really had that luxury of return spells. I mean, I like Final Fantasy games, obviously. I mean, playing one right now, I already did Final Fantasy VII and, well, the Game Boy Advance remake of the first Final Fantasy game. Of course. At that point in time, 2 years ago, I didn't have the pixel remastered version of the first Final Fantasy game. And there was no way in hell I was going to play the NES original of the first Final Fantasy game. Ha! You couldn't pay me, well, I suppose if you really wanted to pay me for it, I probably would, but who would be dumb enough to pay somebody to play a video game? Alright, let me rephrase that. I guess, like, depending on your perspective, that might not be stupid, but who'd be crazy enough to pay someone to actually just to sit and play a video game? Unless you're rich, who can afford that? Especially with the prices of games and consoles these days, with the new Switch 2 having been announced recently, and sky-high rate for game prices. I mean, the console itself, I don't mind, but the games, I mean, I'm obviously, Nintendo fan, boy, since 1988. That much is undeniably. Most of the games I've played are on Nintendo systems. Yeah. The only consoles I currently have are the Switch and the 3DS, which really isn't a console but a handheld. But anyways, Nintendo. So there'd be no point in denying I'm one of the biggest Nintendo fans you'll ever meet, have been since the late 80s. But even so, Nintendo fan appreciation aside, prices for games are getting ridiculous. I mean, yeah, like I argued, well, not really argued, but tried to stress on a Twitch stream the other day. I won't mind it once in a while, because, if you take, like the console itself, if you take care of the games, you'll have it for a long time. It's not like you have to pay, 80 to 100 all the time. Well, every game you do. You get the idea, I hope. Oh, a castle. Okay. And the other thing I tried to point out to somebody, As I don't know how much of that planned game prices for Switch 2 games is because of the rising cost to make a game these days. I mean, like I told somebody on one of the recent Twitch streams, watch the end credits to any game of the last 10 years and look at how many people are mentioned there. And then keep in mind that each and every one of those people has to get a paycheck for their work on that game. Well, there you go. But my question remains, how much of the rising cost for Switch 2 games is based on that? And how much of it is just good old-fashioned corporate greed? Nintendo being selfish and greedy and expecting too much money for their new games. Anyways, I said to myself I wasn't going to get into this subject on my videos, and here I am doing just that anyways. Ooh, mithril weapons and armor. Okay. Don't move. What do you think I am, a statue? What? Yeah, it's us. And you know us how? What monster? Well, yeah, I guess we did kind of use a meteorite as a fast travel point, but I don't know what you're talking about. Monsters? What? Hey, wait a minute. Well, this is a fine welcome to travelers. Sheesh. We get thrown in Great. We get thrown in prison just for... Now, try to get out of here, but you can't. So you just gotta wait for the game to move the story along on its own. Come on. Sometime today. Whenever the game feels like... Yeah, there we go. Yep. Should have blown the wall on the other side of the cell you were in. Yeah, we did. What are you going to do about it? Sid. Here we go again. Another Final Fantasy game and another character named Sid. It's been the running gag of Final Fantasy ever since Part 2 on the NES Famicom in 1988. Well, 1988 in Japan. Anyways. Yeah. And yes, before anybody can try to correct me in the comments, yes, I'm well aware of the fact that in all of the recent remakes of Part 1, they added the Sid gag in the last village before the final dungeon area, the village of Lathine, or however you pronounce it. The people you talk there, you ride an airship built by a guy named Sid. They added that line to the remakes, whereas in the original NES version, there was no Sid reference. That didn't come until Part 2 in every Final Fantasy game in remake sense. Yeah. In fact, when I did my playthrough of the Game Boy Advance remake, where that gag is there, I even showed the screen cap of the original version. No Sid reference yet then. Again, that didn't start until Part 2, the sequel to that one. But anyways, yeah. The Sid gag usually refers to an engineer, airship, somebody specializing in airships or other machines. Except for what was that? Well, the side game, the 3DS side game Explorers, for one. The Sid of that game is more like a... Oh, Now, I was going to say like a counselor, but more like the tutorial quest guy. For anybody who's played the 3DS side game Final Fantasy Explorers. Of course, every time I play that game, I think of one of its story quests. As I've probably mentioned on these videos before, one of the story quests in that game is called Twisted Sisters Gardens. And yes, I know for a certainty they're not talking about the 80s rock band. But anybody that knows me knows that anytime I see those two words together side by side, it's a guaranteed, unavoidable fact that I'm going to think, Twisted Sister? Cool, we're not going to take it. I mean, come on. Anybody that knows me just knows that's going to be the case. Twisted Sister, yeah, point made, moving on. Of course, they also have another one with that same boss, that Dryad boss. I forget, Twisted Sister's Return or something like that, later in the game. And again, hey, cool, Twisted Sister. Anyways, getting back to the original point and the Sid running gag in Final Fantasy games. See, in part 4, he was the airship dude. Part 5, this game, yeah. Yeah, anyways. Part 7, he was, at least in the original version of Part 7, he was the one that everybody loved to hate because of the way he treated Shara. But I'm sure when they get to the final installment of the new remake, they'll give him the snowflake treatment and make him into a wuss. Like most characters in stories these days. Heaven forbid he say anything that'll offend too many people. So yeah, they'll probably censor his character something drastic in the finale part of the Final Fantasy VII remakes. Which they kind of have already started to do in Part 2, where you first meet Sid. He's already a lot tamer than he was in the original version of the game. At least from what I've seen, granted. Uh-oh. They call it a steamship in this version of the game. In most of the others, it's the fire ship. Again, that wonderful renaming of things. Like I mentioned the other couple videos ago. I love that they remake old games, adding new quality of life upgrades and whatnot. But I hate how they gotta change the names for almost everything in every subsequent remake, remaster, port. Werewolves? Dude, this is not Castlevania. Or that silly old movie Silver Bullet, 1985. Do we really have much of a choice here? I mean, it's either help them or back in the clink. So this is basically a but thou must situation. You either help us or back in the hoosegow. Yeah. Gee, such wonderful options we have here. Dude, you're going to be waiting there quite some time. Because I got some grinding yet to do. Like I said at the start of this video, I put off the rest of the grinding I was doing between videos since I realized the enemies here give you more experience points. Anyways, could explore a little bit here, but for the moment, treasure chests like the one that's up there in the upper corner that's still unopened is also blocked by fire that I can't get through, so I'll explore this area later. For now, you people ever heard of a fire extinguisher? Apparently not. Really? We were just down there. Okay, whatever. By the way, what's with all these fires burning in here? That can't be good. Okay, there's another treasure chest up there that I can't get to yet. Okay. But yeah, seriously, why are we letting all these fires burn like that? That's got to be some kind of hazard. Aren't you worried that your castle's going to burn to the ground? Apparently not too much so. They got fires all over the place here. I mean, look at this. Oh, the crystal cracking, that's nothing new. It's already happened twice in this game. Werewolves attacking, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Well, again, to be technical, yes, I do. I have played this game many times. Just, again, as always, in commentary, playing dumb to avoid spoilers, or the potential thereof. Okay, what are you... Is that guy sick? Uh-oh. Black Shadow? What Black Shadow? Huh? Whatever. Oh, helps if you actually go through the door instead of trying to walk through walls. Oh, there's another. Damn it, can't get to it. All these treasure chests I can't get to yet. Dang it. Werewolf? Where? Are you saying I'm a werewolf? I don't think so. Oh. Okay. So they aren't imagining things. Alright. Okay, what the hell was that? Oh. Dynamite! What? J.J. Evans from the old TV show Good Times, okay? Or Jimmy Walker or whatever, yeah. No, never mind. J.J. Evans was his name in the show. Jimmy Walker was the actor's real-life name that played that part. Anyway. What? As a kid in the late 70s, early 80s, I used to love that show. That and Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy. Anyways, now, this isn't what I had in mind yet. I was just going to go back to town and finish purchasing my upgrades that I started on doing before we were arrested. Of course, enemies here do more damage than they did back where we were at in the last video. Of course, part of that is we don't have the current armor upgrades yet either, so that'll make a little bit of a difference. Anyways, speaking of which, even though we were arrested in the process of making this purchase, somehow the game still counts it, so I don't know how that works. Again, we were arrested and hauled off to prison before we paid them anything. Uh-oh. That means the sword is unpaid for. Oops. If we go back into the shop, is he going to shock us with lightning like Link's Awakening if you try stealing anything from the shop there in Mabi Village? Then you go back afterwards and... Alright. So buy a few more of those. Let's see. Buy a couple of those just in case I want to, while grinding, I want to change somebody's job class to a class that can only use stabs. And for armor, let's see here. Shields aren't going to be much use since I'm pretty much going to be sticking with the two-handed ability. Yeah, or both hands as they call it in this version of the game. Since I'm primarily going to be sticking with that for pretty much everybody for a good majority of the game from here on out, Red Mage and both hands. Shields aren't going to be much use. Alright, mithril helmets. Well, we can't use them? What? Wait a minute. Okay, we can use silver armor, but not mithril. Okay. That's kind of weird, but alright, I guess. Buy 4 of those. Alright. Okay, I've said it before in other videos and I'll say it again. This is one of the things I miss about new versions of these older games, where they tell you what purpose this serves. You know, what stat this would increase by purchasing and equipping it. Here they don't tell you that until you equip it and then look at the stat differences. Okay, what changes? Yeah. Again, I kind of miss that about newer games, or remakes of, like the Pixel remaster of this game. Alright, for now, I think I'll pass on those. Besides, I still want to see what we have for magic spells. Okay, where's the magic shop in this town? Over here, I think. If I remember right. Yep, there it is. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, this is where we get level 3 magic, or technically level 2 fire, level 2 cure. Yeah. And they still have the original fire to ice. This, of course, being the Super Nintendo Super Famicom original before they started, fire, fira, faraga, faraja, like they do in most modern games and remakes. Back when it was still Fire, Fire 2, Fire 3. Like it was in the original versions of the games, all the way up to and including Final Fantasy VII. PS1 original. I mean, it's been a while. Oh, well over 20 years since I played the PS1 original Final Fantasy VIII. I'm not sure if that's when the change in spell name started, or if it was Final Fantasy IX. But some point along the way, as the 90s ended and the 2000s began, instead of Fire 1, Fire 2, Fire 3, it became Fire, Fira, Faraga, Faraja, which I personally don't care too much for. I prefer the old method, like you see right here, Fire 2. But that's just me, having played these games since 1990, when the first game came out in North America. Sleep? No. I mean, I'll buy it for completion purposes, but there'll be 8 days in a single week or 27 hours in a single day before I ever use it. Like any RPG. I mean, I've been over this a dozen times already through the course of this channel, nearly 3 years now. But for one, I always feel like a coward putting an enemy to sleep and then kicking it while it's already down. Secondly, a lot of the tougher enemies seem to have a strong resistance to sleep, and it doesn't work on them anyways, so what's the point? Either way, like I've said maybe not 100, dozens of times through the course of this channel, nearly 3 years running now, I never, ever use sleep in any of my RPGs. And this one is not going to be the case where I finally change that. Alright, no Kira or Cure 2. Okay, I thought we did. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, we have other sellers here. Yeah, there we go. I was going to say, I thought we got this here. Raise. Oh, yeah. The life spell of the first Final Fantasy game. Too bad it isn't the Life 2 spell that revives dead party members to full health. But that doesn't come until later. So just like in the first Final Fantasy game, that was a level 8 spell. You didn't get that until towards the end of the game. And even if you did purchase it earlier through my kind of massive grinding and did purchase it early, you probably still couldn't use it until later in the game anyways. Charm. Yeah. Libra, I think we already have. And again, like I said in the previous video, one of the things I like about this game, have multiple magic multiple magic users in your party. You don't have to buy a spell book for every one of them individually. Just buy one, and anybody that can use magic will use that same one. Major, drastic money saver. I mean, in most other games, 620, multiply, in my case, by 4, since every one of my party members can use that, potentially speaking. 620 becomes what? 2,400 something? Haha. So yeah, I do like that about this game. Too bad others don't follow that same example, or even better yet, be like Dragon Quest games where you learn your magic spells through experience level ups and don't have to buy them at all, like most Dragon Quest games. Unfortunately, though, the only Final Fantasy game that I can immediately, right off the top of my head, think of where that's ever been the case was Part 4. You know, the one that was released here as Part 2 on the Super Nintendo in 1991. Yeah, that game. At least At least that's the only game I can immediately, right off the top of my head, think of in Final Fantasy, where you learn your magic spells via leveling up your experience. In every other game, you buy them. Anyways. Damn it! I say this all the frickin' time. But seriously, it's already been 35 minutes since I started this video. Well, personally, for me in real lifetime, it was a little longer than that because I paused the video for like 20 minutes to go outside for a little bit. But with just actual recorded video time, it's already been 35 minutes. Where does the time go? And why can't time go by this fast while I'm at work? Where you would not be surprised if you saw the time freeze. Yeah. Anyways. I mean, I like my job, but it can get a little boring at times. But anyways, that's another subject for another time. I'm not trying to whine about real life here. I'm trying to keep a positive vibe going here. So, just point being, I cannot believe how fast time passes when I'm making these videos. So, yeah. As always, thanks for watching and putting up with my sometimes nonsensical commentary. And we'll see you next time. Bye.